Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, yeah, we still got the pocket change market report for your Sunday, December 17th, 2023. Thank you all for coming on by here as we check things out on eBay. What has been selling? What have you been finding out in change and in the world today? You might be able to find something that maybe you found here on the sold list from the last 24 to 48 hours. If you found it in circulation, maybe you're an avid roll hunter, and maybe you found a few of these particular coins or paper money. We also talk about, dollar bills, $2 bills, $5 bills, some with errors, things like that. Anything that you can find out there at face value is certainly going to make a huge impact, on the secondary market. If they're all legit, errors and varieties, of course. But let's not forget, you could also cherry pick some of these from a local coin shop or a show, things like that. Another way of getting into the hobby at the kind of like the grassroots level where you're not spending a ton of money, but it also represents a great opportunity to flip some of these coins and pieces of paper for a really nice profit. So we're going to explore what's been hot here this week. Now, we're December 17th, we're in earshot of about 8 days away from Christmas, and it shows a little bit of a slowdown here in the last day or two, as expected, it's a slowdown even more, folks. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not afraid to say it. If you have some coins and things like that you're looking to sell, I would probably wait until after the first of the year to do that. When the coin market kind of, re-energizes itself. There's some pretty big shows that are going to be dropping in January. The Florida Fun Show's like one of the big ones, of course. Not even 10 days into the new year. So that's something to look forward to. And, the talk and conversation of what's going to be hot in 2024 is going to reignite the market. So I would say hold on to your stuff. Until that point, it might be a little bit too late to get into it now unless you did a 1 or 3 day auction. That can be a little risky because if you don't introduce enough time for your items to sell on eBay, then you may realize the low end of the spectrum. You may not get what you need or deserve for your coin or bill. So a few little ground rules. You guys know the drill. We don't talk about graded anything on here. Keep the money in your pocket. If it's a legitimate variety or error, then you'll have no problem selling it. And secondly, the images you're going to see here today are all 100% original to the respective seller's listings. We didn't juice or doctor any of these photos to make them look better. You're simply going to get the best and worst here, folks. The worst is going to help you guys determine what that bar is being set at. All right. So you don't have to be a professional photographer, I'm happy to say, when you get into this endeavor. All right. Just be very, mindful of what you do have. Okay. Because as long as you're able to describe what you do have accurately, then you're going to do well in that regard. All right. So we do have, believe it or not, we do have one more Whatnot calendar of event thing happening here this week. So Friday, December 22nd, you're not going to want to miss it. I thought I wouldn't have any other shows. I know. But we do have one more here coming up on Friday. Kind of a crazy, auspicious time to do one of these. But it's actually a very important one. There's a new product very similar to VaultBox. As a matter of fact, it's damn near similar to VaultBox Series 1. The RCTV-X, we are going to be sampling a full box of this. They come with 3 coins. They're going to be packaged in sealed envelopes. We won't know what's in them. You're going to have a bunch of different tiers to pull from. The ultimate tier will grab you a coin. And that's worth anywhere from $4,800 to as high as $9,000. So it's a big, big chase product. much like some of these other ones that we've seen here release in the last 6 months. Of course, Vault Box being kind of like the gold standard in everything that we've seen so far here in 2023. RCTV is throwing its hat in the ring, and we're going to test drive one of these boxes. We had the pleasure of having someone from Whatnot, who is a sponsored entity with working together with RCTVX. They said, hey, we want BlueRidgeSilverhound to go ahead and open one of these on Whatnot. And guess what? When we open up this box, whatever coins that we obtain from this box, guess what? We will be giving away every single coin on Friday. All going to one person. So you never know what we're going to get here. Keep in mind, this is an $800 product. It's not cheap. It's going to be a really large giveaway. It's my pleasure to do that for you guys. We also have to attach a little bit of a auction of sorts. And I figured, I really don't want to do it, but we'll do it. We're going to do a small lot, call it part 10 of the unsearched wheat cent roll lots that I do have that I'm trying to move. And again, we're going to continue this on in January. So we'll probably end up having like 20 lots, nothing too crazy. And I know there were a number of you that were interested in getting into that. So it's kind of a big event right before Christmas, Friday, December 22nd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and check things out. If you're not at all signed up, I don't know why you wouldn't be after the craziness that was last Friday, where we had the massive BlueRidgeSilverhound holiday giveaway event. Just in case, I will have down below in the description box my referral link. Go ahead and check it out, sign up, and when you do, you'll earn yourself $15 in usable credit anytime you go to buy or bid on anything and win from any of the sellers on the platform. Not just me, but anyone, and you'll get $15. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. We have 25 lots. We're going to kind of breeze through it because a lot of these you have seen, and these are all coins that have sold here in the last day or two. So we have a 2000p Sackage Away $1. This one is the FS901 Wounded Eagle Reverse coin. This one is a beautiful specimen. And if you were going to pick up any of these, now's the time to do it. There is one seller that has a few of these available. And they'll throw out one every so often. And yeah, these are beautiful coins. And, you know, depending on how they look when you get one in hand, you might want to send it off to a grading company. Because if it comes back like a 65 grade, then it's essentially a $300 to $400 coin. You're going to be making money at that point. Because this one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $124.99. You're going to be looking for the two die gouges, as you see there on the eagle's breast feather and wing area. These are raised on the coin. They're not going to be incused as if the coin took a hit. So just want to let you know how these look like. They're phenomenal. They're a great variety. They're in the Cherry Picker's Guide. What else more do I need to say? Coming up next here, we have a pretty cool, I mean, we don't know what date it is, and that's okay. It's just a really crazy looking off-center struck Jefferson nickel. This one looks like, because it's a uniface, it doesn't have a design on the reverse of the off-center struck portion of it, was probably overlapped onto another blank planchet. All right, so it's obviously an out-of-collar strike. Producing a pretty wild error here. This one is struck off center by about 85%, and it sold for $23.90. Good looking coin. I would say it's mid-state, and you know, this has kind of a collector base out there with or without the date. People prefer one with a date on there that's readable because they do collect it as a series. Coming up next here, this is actually a scarce one. This is a 1969D Roosevelt dime with two very shallow clips on there. They call them sheet clips or curved clips. However you want to categorize them, that's exactly what we're dealing with here. 69D is a date that we don't see a lot of mint errors on. There's a pretty prominent die variety, a very nice RPM. That could even be found in a mint set. But there's very few things to look for. But when you do come across a mint error, it doesn't matter how minor or how major. They're actually more valuable than you originally thought. For example, this one here, and clips, by the way, are relatively inexpensive in the marketplace. It's still sold for $37.42. I guess that was a buy it now price on here. And, again, there are certain dates where you don't see a lot of mint errors, and since people do collect them by date, even Roosevelt dimes, if there's one particular date that someone's gunning for and there's only one coin, that's a supply of one and a demand of many. Coming up next here, one of my favorite varieties, and this is a stunner, this is a true survivor here. This is a 2015 Lincoln Shield cent. Hard to believe that this thing is gonna be 9 years old here in a few weeks. But we're looking for the big doubled die obverse. This is the WDDO number 6. As you can see on these pictures, even though they're a little bit darker, does exhibit pretty clean surfaces. This one looks like it came out of a BU roll, if anything else. So if you look at certain areas on the coin, especially all the lettering and the date shows a bulk of the doubling. You have really nice separation on each one of the digits there. You also look on the motto, like the word trust is doubled, and Liberty shows quite a bit amount of thickness as well. This one sold for $36.87, and that's kind of like the general amount of money you would expect for a nice mid-state example such as this. This is what we call in the business a freehand crop job. You can tell it's a little bit incomplete. It's not the prettiest, but it gets the job done. But what we have here is a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent. I think you guys know what we're looking at here. This is indeed the wide AM reverse. These coins, a number of them were struck accidentally using proof reverse dies, which has a little bit of a design variance compared to the regular business strike coins that were intended for circulation. When we look at the reverse here, you're going to see a pretty substantial gap between the letters A and M in America. You're going to notice the type style of the letter A is also a little bit more narrow compared to the one that is the close AM, which is the normal reverse type. This one is also referred to as the FS901. It's a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. And it sold for $36.51. Another pretty good sale, only because the coin is in phenomenal shape. Here's our first piece of currency. We do have a few of them to talk about today. How about a 1957 silver certificate? This one has a pretty nice gutter fold that goes right through the middle through Washington's portrait. It looks pretty crazy looking. That is caused by simply a wrinkle in the subject sheet, and when it's not stretched out, it'll get printed over, and then once it's all dry, you can literally stretch that wrinkle out, and it'll leave a unprinted gutter area, and that's how it got its namesake. So this note is actually in very nice shape. It looks at first glance like a crisp, uncirculated note. There might be a little bit of wear on it, but you really don't see it too well on these images because the note is just in really nice shape. This one right here sold for $44.95. The more gutters that you see on the note, the more that they're worth. The wider the gutter, the more, just egregious that they are, the more valuable they're going to be. Neat one here. This is a dual error 1967 Washington quarter. Looks like it's either a little bit off center or broad struck, but also showing a straight clip on there as well. 1967, that's a nice earlier date. We have seen a few mint errors on some of these pre-1970 copper nickel clad quarters over the course of the last few decades. And here is yet again another one. You were probably able to find one of these in a mint sewn bag direct from the Federal Reserve Bank. So if it comes from the Fed Reserve to your local bank branch, you could just simply walk in and say, I want one of those bank bags. Can I get one? And then, you know, back in the day, they had no problem issuing you a full bag of these things. So this one right here sold for $84.78. This is a coin and a error set that you just don't see too often. Nice earlier piece here. All right, this is something that we see quite often, actually. 1948 Lincoln Wheat Cent. You find these quite a bit all throughout the Lincoln Cent series, probably going all the way up to about the early 70s. But we have a pretty nice attached lamination right on the face of the coin there. So you can see it kind of a nice wide swath going through Lincoln's bust, and it's right above the date into the fields. I mean, you know, if you grabbed a little corner, you could actually rip that whole piece off. You don't want to do that. It's worth less if that occurs. Normally, you just want to keep that piece sitting where it's at. This one sold for $11.10. So again, we're talking about a lamination here. You know, which is simply just impurities in the alloy mix, allowing for things like this to occur. All right, so this is a little bit better gutter fold. I wish they were like right in the middle of the note, but yeah, this one's quite relevant too. 1993 $1 bill. You actually have a pair of very slight, very thin gutters on the right side of the bill. When we flip it over, you'll see it's on the left side there. Quite nice. And this one right here sold for $60.79 with 13 bids. Okay, so it sold for about 25% more compared to the silver certificate, which is kind of strange, right? You would think that the older note that looks better, you know, would probably sell for more. But again, it's about the number of gutters. Doesn't matter what kind of bill it is or what age. Usually those things are a pretty big differentiator in the values of these. The next one that we have here is a dateless, sort of, Lincoln Memorial Cent. Now, this one is copper, all right? So it's pre-1982. It's off-center by about 50%, quite attractive. I mean, if you did not care about the fact that it doesn't have a readable date, then this would just be a good kind of novelty coin. So they will definitely invest a few bucks to get something that's decent looking. And this one is a really pretty red-brown, all right? At least what we could see on the obverse there. This one sold for $12 with 4 bids. If it had a full readable date, it would probably sell for about double that. 1983p Jefferson nickel. Okay, we got a nice little cud die break on this one. It's right over the word in and partial of the word God. So that is that raised blob that you see there on the obverse in the motto. All caused due to, you know, some die wear, some wear and tear on those dies will eventually take a toll on them. You know, things begin to crack, they get loose. You know, when they crack bigger and then they fall out. And then you have an empty cavity in the die that will produce some pretty marvelous things like the coin you see here. So with that being said, this one sold for $25.99 with 2 bids. This is a smaller size cud. You know, the pricing and value is all predicated on the size of cuds that exist on coins. And not to mention of placement too. Placement plays a huge role in the value. If this one were a little bit bigger, maybe it covered the entire words of in and God, they would be called a godless nickel, and people actually pay a ton of money for those, sometimes as high as $100. 1996D Lincoln Memorial Cent. I'm willing to bet that this is a date and mint mark that we don't see too often as an off-center struck coin. So this one definitely has a little bit more desirability. But this, you know, it sold for $16.50 with 13 bids. This is a date I don't see come up too much. So, you know, I think the lower price has every bit to do with the fact that we're getting close to Christmas. Because believe it or not, if this was a month ago, this coin probably would have sold for $30 to $40. I'm not joking. You know, there is some influence here because of the time of the year. And this is a good looking coin. And there's quite a fair amount of error enthusiasts that collect these by date, and this is one that you just don't see all that often. Here's a 1998, what looks to be a Philadelphia Jefferson nickel, nice size broad strike. This one is pretty close to being centered, but that notwithstanding, it's also in really nice shape as well. This thing is probably about the size of a nickel, or maybe a little bit larger than that. This is produced outside of the collar. So the collar normally keeps the coin in place during the strike. If it's not there, then that coin will kind of like pushing your finger through a ball of Play-Doh. That thing gets larger, all right? It doesn't stop to the normal size tolerances of what a nickel should be. And this produces a pretty wild effect here. So this one right here ended up selling for $15.51 with 7 bids. Pretty phenomenal one. Again, this is a coin that I've seen sell for 25 to 30 bucks. It might just be that, you know, the market has really slowed down and people are paying less for these. We also have this beautiful 2001 Lincoln Memorial set. Now this one is slightly broad struck. In addition, it does have a pretty nice sized indent, all right, with some reverse impression on there. They call that a Brockage, all right. So this coin, or the blank, was probably overlapped on an already struck Lincoln set. It was produced out of collar, and yeah, it creates a pretty wild looking error here. These are generally dual errors. Oftentimes you're going to see these as not only broad struck or off center, but also with that indent as well. And this one also has that reverse mirrored Brockage, which is quite attractive. This one ended up selling for $56.95, and that's with 4 bids. That seems like a lot of money because it is, and because it's justified for the type of piece that this is. Usually none of these are cheap to begin with. And then we have another one here. Now you'll notice on this particular one, it's a 2000. It is broad struck. It's actually a much more attractive broad strike, but take a look at the indent. You don't see any of the images of another coin, which means this one was overlapped with a blank planchet and not an already struck coin because you don't have any design there. This one right here ended up selling for $34.90 with 2 bids. So you can see the price difference between the two. One is just, you know, far worlds away, a much kind of eye-pleasing type of error compared to this one. Now, this is one of the crazier coins this week. It's a 1973 Lincoln Memorial cent. It's double struck. And where that secondary strike is, which is about 90% off center, it covers part of the date. But where the double struck portion of it is, it shows the last 2 digits of the date. So that's how we could tell that this one is a 1973. It's a wild kind of like MC Escher-esque type of error, you know, when you can see this. And you just don't see it that often. This one appears to be just a really nice condition coin. I don't think the pictures really do this one justice. This one ended up selling for $42 with 16 bids. And I'm going to say that $42 is quite the bargain, just based off of how the date looks on this. This one's just wild. So we have a very minor version of the blind bat quarter. This is the 2020 American Samoa double bat quarter. There's a lot of strike throughs to find on this one. You can see the red arrow on here showing that strike through there on the Mamba Bat's face. This one is considered quite minor and small by all accounts, but you know, based off of its sale price, which ended up being $53.98 with a few bids in there, you know, it still appears to be quite the valuable piece, and there's always a lot more people looking for these. They just didn't make nearly as many of them as some of the newer errors we've seen in the last few years. Our next piece of bit of currency is this 1950B $10 bill. This is actually quite nice. The note exhibits a fair amount of, you know, circulation wear. It looks its age, I could say that, but it's in really nice shape. When we flip the note over, you're going to see a really nice, vibrant front-to-back partial wet ink transfer. which is on the top right portion of this note. So it picked up a little bit of a ink transfer from the impression cylinder onto the back of this note when it was printed. All right, that's something that's very similar to a die clash in coin production. All right, so yeah, again, very wild. When we see them this dark, what we call first blush, you know, it's a lot more vivid, attractive, and people pay up for notes like this. So this one right here ended up selling for $41.67 with 11 bids. And I think, you know, a lot of that has to do with the overall condition of the note, and being it just a partial wet ink transfer. If it was a lot larger, boy, be prepared to open your wallets. These things get very expensive very fast. We also have this 1993 $1 bill. Again, you know, we got to look at both sides of the notes because you never know what's there. You might end up missing something. This one, at first glance, just looks like a regular dollar bill with a little bit of circulation wear. You know, it looks like it's been passed through a few cash registers. Turn it over, and it reveals something completely different. So why is the back of the note so far off kilter like this? Well, the sheet was probably misaligned when the back was printed to begin with, which, you know, some of you may not be aware. The back of the notes are actually printed first on a subject sheet, and then they'll produce and print the fronts of them. So yeah, the sheet was probably tilted a little bit when the reverse was applied. But anyways, this one sold for $71.20. I mean, you know, pretty valuable one right here. And let's see, we have a 2006 $1 bill. And to say you can't find anything on newer notes, there's just simply not truthful at all. There's a lot to look for even on newer notes. So this one right here, again, you got to flip the note over to reveal a full 100% front to back wet ink transfer. So this one you can tell is a little bit lighter. You know, the that wet ink transferred onto the impression cylinder at this point had probably printed a few sheets before it got to this one. So with that being said, because of the full, you know, the full transfer from left to right, this one was able to garner $93.75 on eBay here in the last day. And another incredible one. This is a Jefferson nickel. Check out how nice the reverse is struck, but the front is a mess. This was actually struck through, I guess, a little bit earlier stage capped die, with a little bit of Brockage on there as well. You know, you could see was it E pluribus unum or whatever that is on there, or I don't know what it says, but it's kind of crazy looking. Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a byproduct of some catastrophic event where a coin was actually stuck to the die, and it was striking other coins with a coin right stuck on there. So it produces some pretty wild effects like this here. This coin ended up selling for $49.99, and you know, we could see why it sold for that much. Not a bad way to you know, to flip your silver. You know, if you're a stacker or you just love these big large silver dollars, then this one will excite you. It's a 1921, one of the most common dates for this coin. But check the reverse out. There's a strike through over the word states that is quite revealing on this coin, and keeping in mind that the coin's probably worth about $40 to $50 as it is. It's a nice coin with lots of luster and very little wear, but that strike through event on the reverse kind of transforms this into something extraordinary. It ended up selling for $138.45. So that could be anything from a little bit of grease and debris, metal shavings, piece of wood. You never know what was on that die. Here's just a really nice looking 1989 P Jefferson nickel. It's struck off center by about 60%. Great looking piece. And this one sold for $48. Again, there's going to be someone that needs this for a date set. Another big cut here, 1984 Lincoln Memorial. This time the cut is right above Lincoln's head. Right good size one too. very attractive. And you do see the weakened area on the reverse on the word set, which is normal because that's the opposite side of where the cut is. So this one sold for $67.66 with 18 bids. Again, cuds are hot today in this market. And the final coin is yet again another kind of like PSA to always look at every single 1975 Jefferson nickel. This is a huge one, and not a lot of people really pay attention to it. This is the what they call the misplaced mint mark. It's slated to be a part of the Cherry Picker's Guide on the next printing. All right, so that could be a few years down the road, but you could tell that this one here, the Denver mint mark, is a lot higher. It's in between the 5 and the hair bow of Thomas Jefferson's ponytail. So this one is way out of tolerances, and this one will be, it's a recognizable variety type through PCGS and NGC. This coin is in great shape. I would say it's a nice solid AU with plenty of luster. And believe it or not, it sold for $280 with 9 bids. That could be money that is just easily thrown away if you don't take a close look at your 1975 nickels. All right, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here for this one. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and none of this is financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly. That's going to go ahead and take care of this one. I wish you guys a great holiday season. If you're going to do some hunting, keep in mind there's still a lot to be found out there. And get ready for 2024. It's going to be a wild one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You know, all the extra support will go a long way to ensuring that I'm going to produce more great content like this. So I wish you guys the best. Have fun in the hobby, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.